Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Say Yes Movement podcast. We're here today with Lisa Bragg. We are so excited to have you. John can't join us today, but Lisa, we're going to have an amazing conversation. So let me introduce my special guest. So Lisa is an author, a researcher, a keynote speaker, and guess what she talks about? She talks about bragging about yourself, putting yourself out there and celebrating the best of you. So when I heard about her book, about her theme, I'm like, I got to have you on the podcast. And of course, if you look at the background, Lisa, there is your book, but I also have a copy here. It is amazing. So Lisa, welcome to the Say Yes Movement podcast. What would you like to say hi to our audience, please?
I am so thankful to be here. You and I met we stood beside each other at MBS's book launch, a mutual friend of ours who's written so many great books. And I just right away, it's like, I know you. We felt like we knew each other right from the start. And beautiful things happen that way when you talk to strangers, don't they?
They totally do. And, for anyone that's listening in and you've heard myself or John say, connect with people, connect on people, and figure out what do you have in common. And I love that you said, we were like, have we met each other before? We should know each other. And we just declared we're going to know each other. And that was the start of a beautiful friendship. And I often hear people say it's hard to make friends when you're older. And I actually think it's easier because you know what your values are, you know what you love, and you can ask more in-depth questions. And we just declared it right there. We're going to be friends. And that's exactly what happened.
And we made it happen. We followed through. That's the thing. It's so easy to say hi in the moment, but following through, and we did it. We followed through several times now. We've had several chats that have been great. So thank you to the world for bringing us together in MBS and for you for saying, hey, yes, let's talk.
Absolutely. So, Lisa, on Fridays, we do something really special on our Say Yes Movement podcast. And what we do is we ask our audience to celebrate something that happened this week that is a win. Now, I would imagine that you've already talked about the mindset of why we do this in your book, because this really activates our brains to open up, to look for something that's good and happening, because we can find lots of problems, but when you activate your brain to find something good. So I'm going to ask you what your celebration moment is. I'm going to share mine as well. But for our audience, for anyone listening out there, we are here to celebrate you as well. So put it in the comments. We want to hear what's gone well for you this week. What are you celebrating? What are you standing in to really get excited about? So Lisa, what is your Celebration Friday moment?
Well, I'm just going to interrupt for a second because I have this cat really purring loudly. So she must really like this whole conversation and what we're chatting about. But I don't know if you can pick her up on my super duper mic here, but This cat is very happy over here and she's celebrating with us. So just wanted to say that's a cat if anyone can hear it. But you know what? For me, I keep a brag book. I keep ongoing things that I'm celebrating. And I also celebrate my own wins. So I have so many things to celebrate about people around me and then my own wins. Because like you said, we get so lost in all the things that are going on in the world. But really I had somebody reach out to me this week and thank me for the book. And when I get those, they're fuel to keep going. So I have fuel for me that, when someone tells me I can't do something, that's fuel. But when someone also then says, hey, this has really helped me, sharing your knowledge has helped me, putting it out there has helped me, that just makes me want to keep going and keep giving this book and this mission lift and putting it out to more people. So I'm celebrating that because I think I needed that little boost of that thank you note that I got at that right point. So that was one of the wins for me for sure.
I love that, Lisa, because, we often think, oh, I'll send that note later on. Or, we think, oh, I really need to tell that person something. And we don't take action. And, one of the philosophies that I have is if somebody pops into your brain, just send them a note, send them a video message, do something. Because if the universe is sort of nudging you to connect that way, you need to listen. And they probably need that message or you need that message yourself. And so if you give it away, it comes back to you. I want to come back to the brag book idea because we've actually talked about that on the Say Yes Movement podcast, but you've got a whole system around that. So I want to talk about that. This week for myself, I'm celebrating storytelling, and I've done some pretty crazy adventures in my life, and I actually got to be in front of quite a big audience and tell some of my travel stories, but linking it to leadership. And it was based on a question the audience asked me. They asked me, how has your leadership changed based on your travels? And I hadn't quite formulated the answer as cleanly as I did at that moment, and then it was from the heart. So I realized that, sometimes when you're sitting down trying to write these stories out, it's not coming directly from the heart all the time, but this moment, it just came from the heart. And I have to go back and now look at the recording, because now I can write what I said. So I'm very excited about that, because these adventures that I take, I think they really are to open my eyes, open my heart, open my ears for how big this world is and how much we can make an impact on it. So I'm celebrating somebody asking me a question that really prompted me to think harder and think really strongly. So that's a really good thing.
What a gift. And storytelling, always collect your stories along the way. You never know when those stories are going to come in. And so make a story bank, right? So keep them, write them down, have them, because you never know, and see how it connects to so many things. How do I connect this journey to leadership? It's a gift that somebody else will then get from you. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, Nicole, I see that you are celebrating recognition, and I guess so you recognize someone and it moved them to tears. And just think about that. Think about the impact that we all have by giving recognition and then, spending a moment with emotion attached to it. We often think it's not okay to show emotion at work, but in fact, when we show emotion, we can get so connected. So thank you, Nicole, for sharing that. Anyone else out there, please put it in the comments. We want to celebrate with you. Now, Lisa, I want to go back to this brag book idea. Tell us more about the brag book.
You know what? It's pretty simple. It's one of those things that you've probably been told throughout your career is to keep a smile file or a journey book or all the things that you've done along the way. But it's really start it today. Start that brag file. So bragging is talking about one's success with pride. And the reframe is that pride also means self-love. And so when even if somebody doesn't give you a compliment on a job well done, give yourself that compliment. Put it in. So we don't need to wait for external validation. Put it in your brag book. I did this great thing. So I learned some stories. Have more stories. I'm going to put it in my brag book. I got a promotion. Even the smallest of things, put it in there. Give yourself that pat on the back if no one else is doing it. And then those things along the way, we always expect other people to see us, but they're putting out their own fires. So start putting it in your file saying, here's that kudos that I got from that leader or from that person that I was walking by or whatever it is. And then you have this record of all the things. And there's that cat who's not supposed to be up there. So yeah, it's just a lovely live day. But
I love it.
Yeah. So it's all those things. Put them in the brag book so that you have it. And then when you look back, when you're having one of those, we're always on a roller coaster in this world now. Things are happening fast. Put it in there so that when things are not great, you can say, yes, this is why I have my mission. This is why I have my values. This is why I'm going there. It's those things that are there to reinforce it. Or you're going to see something else that's pointing you to a new direction that's even more aligned with who you are. And then again, when you're in corporate, you're going to have all these artifacts to say, here's all the things I've done in this quarter, in this week, in this year, in this career so far. I am worth it. I have my own proof. I don't need your proof. I have my own. And also it's a gift to your leader when you bring all these things and say, hey, look, I have done all these things, because she's already on to her next thing. She's got so many more things going on. She has her own agenda. So when you have your own brag book, those are the reasons why you have to do it. Don't make it hard on yourself. Start today if you haven't already been doing it. And it's as simple as copying and pasting whatever you're allowed to copy and paste, or journaling it if you're not allowed to take pictures or anything like that because of the level of job you have or for privacy. But writing it down, saying these are the things that I accomplished and I'm really happy to have accomplished them. And what I think is success is different than what someone else thinks is success. So that's why we need to really measure and mirror that in our own work, in our own brag book.
I love that. And for everyone listening out there, we often wonder, what does success look like? What's a success pattern? And having a brag book is a success pattern and a process. And I'll tell you, for me, when I've gone to either, difficult, like trying to get jobs or, interviews, I've actually pulled out my comments and read them and be like, yes, that's right. That's me. That's who I am. And I'll look in the mirror and I'll say that to myself and cheer myself on. Because if I'm just going in flat or like, oh, I hope I get this job, guess what? No one, if you're not confident about yourself, don't ever expect anyone to be confident about you. It has to start with you. So you have to do things that will pump you up. And if that means reading all of your bragging moments, all of the celebration moments, and letting go of the mistakes that you've made just for the moment, because those were learning moments, wow, that is absolutely a success pattern. And listen, for everyone listening out there, you can grab this on Amazon, Bragging Rights. There's more than just brag book success pattern in this book. It's all kinds of ideas and actions you can take that will change your mindset and also have you step into the future self of you being the best leader you can be. That I can guarantee you from this book, Lisa.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for that. And it's always, see, word of mouth and the kudos of others just helps to amplify things too. And so when we say good things about other people, we let it out to the world, we tell a friend, that really does make a difference. We have to share our knowledge. And I think that's critical to our success in this knowledge economy for sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And we actually have a lot of leaders on here that lead people that listen in. And you probably, as you're listening in, you probably have someone on your team that isn't great at talking about themselves. They're probably self-conscious or they're going through different things. This is a great book to give to them as well. So don't always just think, what do I need to learn, but what can you share with others? So, when you buy one, buy two is what I'm saying.
Yeah, thanks. Because it's chapter 13 is all for leaders of how you can help your team. So that's really what it is get a couple for your team too, because they need it. Because you have those people, self-deprecation. I am so guilty of it. Oh no, not me. Put myself down. Somebody gives me a compliment. Here's a list of all the things that went wrong to get to where I am. And we shouldn't do that. Yes, we need to tell our moments over milestones and let people know that we're not perfect. But so many of us default to self-deprecation when someone gives us a compliment or kudos. And so we have to watch that. And so if your team member is always doing that, listen in, get curious about why are they doing that? What is it about them? Yeah. We think culture, we think gender, we think all these different things, but what is it about that person that they're doing that? And that's what I hope the book prompts in a lot of leaders to get curious about why some of their team members aren't sharing their success stories or go into self-deprecation so quickly.
So quickly. Felicia is going to start her brag book. Felicia, I can write 5 things in your brag book already of all the things that you've celebrated on Fridays with us. So yes, you have to start your brag book. You have so much to celebrate, Felicia. So thank you for sharing that.
Yay!
So Lisa, yes, exactly. So Lisa, the other thing that we'd love to ask our guests is, we talk about saying yes. And the Say Yes Movement podcast is all about saying yes to things that scared you and seeing where it takes you. And I love hearing a moment in your life when you said yes, when you were pretty scared to say yes to it. And what was the outcome?
Oh, so many. You know what? It's so writing the book, the commitment of writing a book and then putting it out to the world. So saying yes, I'm going to do this project and put it out in the world. And then, yes, I'm going to give it lift and love for the next few years. Because so many of us start things, we write a book, we write a podcast, we do a podcast, we write a blog, and then we don't give it any lift after the fact. So saying yes was, am I doing this? Am I really committing to all the things with it? So that was scary for me to say, yes, I'm going to do it. That was one of the big ones. And now, living the life of an author and speaker and doing more consulting with this line of my IP has been such a joy to finally let it out there. I had a YouTube channel set up in late 2006, and I sat on it because if anyone doesn't remember, that's when YouTube started. And I regret not having started it and shared my IP. But coming from journalism, my background's journalism, we didn't share our own thoughts and ideas. It was always everyone else's thoughts and ideas. And so I sat on it, and I was more and more a hidden gem, even though I needed to be out talking to the world. And so I regret that. And so when we don't say yes to our strategic opportunities, we have regret. And that's why I really do try to say yes when it's strategic, so that I won't have that regret, because regret is one of the worst things to have in life, So yeah, so love that I'm doing it and seeing where it goes. And now I have a little bit, because the book launched in May, so I've been through the journey of it and seen it get out into the world, the burst of excitement when a book launches. Then I've seen the kind of quiet when people are reading the book and, okay, do people like this book? What have I done?
Yeah.
And now seeing people saying, hey, I want to share it with a friend, share it with my team, buying cartons. Like, it's like just, it's so exciting to see this organic success of it now that I have some space. So it's been a journey. Yeah.
Lisa, you said something about, as a journalist, as in the media, you shared other people's ideas, not your own. And so you had to actually get past that belief system, that bias that you had in yourself. How did you figure that out? How did you get past that? Because it was ingrained as your own job. That was your job previously.
You know what? I think my tendency is a hidden gem. So I am quite gregarious. I'm out there. I'm an ambivert. So I like to be an extrovert and an introvert all in one person. I think that label is a little bit too limiting. So I'm all of that, but I do tend to be a hidden gem. What do you mean you just didn't find my book on the internet by yourself? What do you mean I have to help you find it and talk about it? I think I tend to think, well, why won't people find it? And like, my work should speak for itself. All that stuff that was ingrained even before journalism. So it's been a cycle of really understanding how this world works, and that I do need to amplify my successes, my IP, and put it out there to the world. So it was a lot, and I still struggle with it. That's why I love interviewing other people, because then when I interview other people, that allows me to then riff off of what they're saying and add my own value to it. I think it is also that I owned a company in between, and I was responsible for getting the work. So I had to let people know this is what we're doing. So we were doing media, so video animation, e-learning, very early stages, getting all of this kind of stuff online in the beginning. And so having to go out there and talk about where we are and what the future is going to bring us with this new technology. So I had to get out there and say, this is what I believe. I also did some exercises that are in the book about what are my values. So I'm not talking about everything, because that's the thing. I'm like, I should be an expert on all of these things because I love AI. 5 or 6 years ago, I went to an AI conference. I love that. Not really talking about that because it's not really where I'm supposed to go right now. So adding up the things, what are the 3 things that I really want to get out into the world? Because Lisa can't be everywhere all the time. I need to be where I'm supposed to be. And so getting really clear on my values, my point of view, and then what are the pillars that I stand by and really want to talk about. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to just talk about these 3 or 4 things forever, but it means for the next foreseeable future, this is the journey I'm on. This is how I want to be seen and heard, and how I want people to tap into that IP. So it's been a journey, and it is self-reflection, which I encourage everyone listening to take a moment, take a deep breath, and think about yourself for a little bit, because we're thinking about everyone else and everything else going on around us. And it's the self-reflection piece that really helps you to get clearer on the journey that you're meant to have.
Lisa, I just love hearing the story of conception of a book. And, you were destined to do this. Your last name is Bragg. It had to happen, but there was probably some resistance along the way while you were doing that, while you were deciding to write it, while you were writing it. And how did you get past that resistance?
I love other authors fessing this up too, that it's like, no, this is garbage. I'm going to throw it away. What am I doing on this journey? And I have a great publisher, and they were so generous, but I had a friend, an acquaintance, who said, oh no, you just hand in, well, I'm going to say it. She just said, vomit on a page. Just throw out your ideas to them. And they said, oh, no. We were expecting a satisfactory second draft. And they had communicated it to me, but I hadn't really absorbed it. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm totally not getting this. I'm like, this is a failure. And should I just throw it away and walk away? But no, it made me want to double down and really get it done. So I really essentially wrote my book, the writing part. I had all the parts of it, but in 8 weeks to get the whole thing done. But I love that other authors, so that's my little behind the scenes, like freak out time. But other authors are saying what a roller coaster it is to saying, the imposter experience. Who am I to bring this to the world? Who wants to hear what I have to say? And, writing a book or not, being on a podcast, writing a blog, writing a social post, talking to somebody in the elevator, any of those things. Who wants to hear from me? We have these doubts in our mind, but the reality is the world needs to hear more quality voices as signals. And instead of all the noise that we're hearing, and anyone who's listening to your podcast and in this show, they are quality voices that need to be more of the signal, the beacon to other people. So we have more awesome people leading this world and leading the corporations and showing up with their values. So, but the self-doubt, it comes up all the time even. It's like, no, I have to do this. I have to keep going on this mission and give it the love. And that's where so many authors, they throw away their book and all their good work after the launch, I'll give it 5 months. Oh, nobody's reading it. I'm not getting that much. You have to give something 2 to 3 years of love and lift for it to really get to where you want to go. We're not all overnight successes.
No.
We have to put the time in.
There's no such thing as an overnight success. And so for anyone out there that you're thinking, should I write the book? Should I start the podcast? Should I do the article? Yes, yes, and yes. These are all yeses. And every single leader has resistance. I even had resistance to starting a podcast. So that is what happens when you're going to do something and say yes to something that scares you. So get excited about that. Wow, 20 minutes goes by so quick, Lisa. I want to put a call to action to everyone. You heard lots about the brag book, creating your own brag book. This can be, taking your phone out, starting a journal page. It can be actually grabbing a journal. This does not have to be fancy, but you want to start this today. And the best thing to do is think about this week and write one thing down about what you are celebrating. It's Celebration Fridays, what you're bragging about, and start that process and create that process for yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. You are living your unique life and you have really unique things to celebrate. So please, please, please start your brag book. Felicia, you have a chapter worth of stuff to brag about, and so does all of my other listeners out there. So Lisa, any final words for our audience?
You know what? I have absolute bragitude. So having a brag is, I have a brag that, yes, I wrote this great book. It's really valuable to the world. And I am so thankful, Heather, to people like you for helping me get it out there. And I'm so thankful for our friendship too. It's been a joy. So that's a bragitude, a brag plus gratitude, bragitude. We put it together and it helps all of us to get more messages out in the world. And I'm just so happy your podcast is such a success too.
Oh, so thank you, Lisa. Thank you. So that is the end of our podcast for all of you. Have your best life ever. Thank you for joining us for the Say Yes Movement podcast. And remember, when you shift your mind, you shift your life. Have a great day, everyone.